Hey, this is Chuck with Metalani, and I'm talking to Donald from Obituary. Donald, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, Chuck. How are you, bro?
I'm doing awesome, man. It's quite an honor to be able to talk to you. I've been a fan for years and years, and so it's very cool. I think thanks a lot.
Awesome. I'm glad we can do this. And if I mid sentence cough or anything like that, it's just because we're on tour. And if anyone knows, man, one person gets sick, the whole tour gets sick. So
Oh yeah.
I'm just now getting over it. But every now and then I still cough up some green, disgusting stuff.
Oh man. So on January 13th, Friday the 13th, you get the new album "Dying of Everything" coming out on Relapse Records. I got a chance to listen to it, and I got to tell you, man, it's fantastic. It's like everything that I love about Obituary: the pummeling rhythms, John's menacing vocals, the guitars, just tons of riffs and just Ken solos, everything. It's fantastic, and the production is huge. Just sounds, you know, I was thinking about it. I almost think it's like the best, the heaviest that I've heard Obituary over the course of your catalog. So I'm
Well, damn,
curious.
dude, you need a job as our spokesman. that was very well said and very well put. Um,
How do you feel it stacks up with the
Without
rest of your
trying to
stuff?
sound like a conceited big head, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I think we somehow magically, all the stars lined up for us, man. We took a long time writing this record. We don't ever force ourselves into songs. We let them songs find us.
Yeah.
But once we really got down to it and started writing and putting the songs together, we were excited right from the beginning. We're like, holy shit, man, we got something going on here. And then of course, when we were done with the recording, the actual tracking of the songs, we sent it to our boy Joe Sencata, and he's been our live engineer for 15 years, but he's also done the last 3 albums with Obituary at his studio up there in New York City, Full Force Studios. So just perfect chemistry we got going on right now. The band's on fire. I think we played our instruments well. We played clean on this record, which makes engineers' lives very easy. It was
Yeah.
very easy, from what Joe said, to produce this album because we handed him a product that was heavy but clean and well performed. So super, super stoked on this album.
Awesome. Awesome. You guys picked up you actually picked the second track off the tune or the album called Wrong Time as your lead
Yeah.
single. Love that tune. It's got a really heavy groove. I was curious what about that song spoke to you guys to want to make it the lead single.
It was a calculated decision because we knew it was a killer song. I mean, there's no question. It's one of the more impressive songs on the album when it comes to somebody that's been waiting for years till the next album, or a person that has never even heard of Obituary or heard us in real life. And so the calculated decision was knowing that we were about to go on tour, this American tour with Amon Amarth, and they tapped into a gigantic crowd. We're
Yeah.
playing in front of thousands a night. And so we knew a lot of those people are those typical metalhead fans that go, you know what, I've seen that logo for 30 years. I've heard of the band,
Yeah.
but I honestly have never seen them live. So we knew this was an important part to really drop a song that is going to appeal to the non Florida death metal people. That's what the challenge was. We could have dropped Barely Alive, the first song on the album, but I don't think that would have been appropriate. And so again, it was a calculated decision to really just grab one of those really groovy, easy listening to. My brother's vocals on it, sick,
Yeah.
and it's catchy. I,
Yeah.
I, I cannot believe the crowd reaction we're getting because we're performing it every night on this tour, and the crowd response is just fantastic.
That's awesome, man. Uh, my favorite song is actually the last song on the album, "Be Warned." That tune is just killer. I mean, it's got the doomy element that I love about Obituary, and again, John's vocals on that, it's killer.
Yeah.
I was curious, how did that song come about? What was the writing process like for that one?
That's one of the songs where we weren't even trying. We didn't even know if we were going to be writing a song that day. We always enter the studio, and when Trevor and I get ready to write a song, we don't worry about what we just did yesterday. We don't worry about what the last album sounded like. We don't worry about what fans are thinking about. We just get in there and have a good time. We just get in there, open-minded, positive attitude, crack a cold beer, and if something happens, something happens.
Yeah.
And I kind of remember that day we were we were actually just dicking around a little bit, waiting. I think JT was, whatever, putting his dogs away or making a cup of coffee or something. And I think Trevor played like just something. He might have even just been tuning, and he was like, dun, dun, dun. And I was like, dude, what was that? He's like, well, it really wasn't anything. I'm like, no, that was something. And so we stumbled upon it. And John came back into the studio when we were just, again, me and Trevor, we just jam. We're not like, okay, let's put open the Pro Tools rig, and it's going to be 4 measures of this, and then a bridge, and then 4 measures, and let's try. Instead, we're just jamming.
Yeah.
And he came walking in, and we're going dun dun dun, pow, dun 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 dun. And I remember him saying, he didn't even say anything to us. He walked straight to the computer where the Pro Tools rig is, and I saw him write something. And days later, or weeks later, I'm like, we went back and started working on Be Warned. And he's like, I don't know why, but right when I walked in and you guys were playing that, all I thought of was beware, be warned. Beware, be warned. And he wrote it down, and it stuck. He's like, it stuck, man. And it did. It fits so sick. Like, that is, Barely Alive, first song on the album, Gonna Kill You, Kill My Feet, fastest double bass I've ever attempted in my life. But then the song that really is going to grab people's attention is the way we end this thing and the way we say goodbye to them. And it's cool that's one of your favorite songs on the album, because me too. It's challenging. It's really challenging to play a song confident, solid, and make it really heavy when it's that slow of a tempo without boring the audience. And that's the challenge that I like sometimes.
Yeah, it definitely has. I thought of like a horror movie or like a monster movie. We were just something's coming in and like just destroying everything.
Yeah, one other cool thing, without boring everybody about a slow song, is that song was really cool because Kenny lives in Orlando. We're in Tampa, so Ken's about 100 miles from us.
Uh-huh.
So when we're not together as a band, rehearsing the songs or practicing, we usually send files, like a lot of bands, obviously. With that song, we kind of had it structured, and John already kind of had what he was doing, and I sent it to Ken, and I just said, I don't know what you're going to do with it. Just mess around a little bit. He loves just messing around, like on his own with his laptop. He totally dug it. And it was so funny because I'm by myself and I'm listening to the song, and I'm like, I don't know why I keep thinking Alice in Chains. I keep saying like Gary Cantrell. I don't know why. And it's just this one part where John's voice, it's a half drum beat, criticize, dun, 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 and then halfway through it's like dun, 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 down, dun, 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 and I do double time on the snare, and it's very Man in the Box. Bow, bow,
oh yeah,
bow, bow, bow. And so I was texting, and the funny, I guess, back to my point, I'm in my bedroom, and I'm like, I'm just going to tell Ken. And so I start texting Ken, and I'm not kidding. I was just texting, think Cantrell. And I was just about to hit send. And he sent me a text, and it goes, check this out, motherfucker. And I'm like, I open it up and I listen to it before I hit send. And I shit you not, if you go back, Chuck, and you listen to the ending of that song, he does this thing after I do the typical Man in the Box thing. All of a sudden, Ken starts going, do no, and I'm like, oh my God. I called him. I said, dude, I swear I was just about to hit send on a text that just says, think Alice in Chains, man, think Jerry Cantrell, and you did it. And so it's just funny how we didn't communicate, but Kenny's been in the band 10 years now. We work hard together as musicians and songwriters, and it's just what a cool feeling that we had the same brain wave. Like, he felt something that I was feeling, and I didn't get to him in time to tell him that it was my fucking idea. So I don't get to take credit for it.
Oh man, another great tune which I love is War, and in particular there you've got these crazy like surround sound effects like at the beginning and the end. Was that those effects add quite a bit of a dimension to that song? Was that the intent when you were writing it, or did that come in after the fact?
I think it's funny you bring this song up after we were just talking about Be Warned, because John, The minute he heard that song Beware, he wrote down Beware, Be Warned. Same with War. He said the same. He goes, I don't know why. I just wrote War. I'll take you to war. And he keeps saying it. And I mean, sadly, you know, we have war going on in Russia and Ukraine. And this song was done 2 years ago. So the fans, hopefully they understand that it had nothing to do with that. The song was long finished. Right. But it was all John's idea. He's just like, I don't know why. It just came out War. I'll take you to war, you know? And then of course he's just searching the internet for all these machine gun sounds and this and that. Yeah. And then again, Joe Sincata, our engineer, we had him searching. I'm like, just find some big ass, you know, helicopters and this and that. And he put it together. And he sent it to us. And me and John are like, holy shit, like what the hell's going on here, man? And you know, again, bands collaborating and songwriting and not just finishing a song and what other song. It's also I knew because I'm usually the one in charge, and I was with this album, is putting the song selection. Like what song's going to be the beginning of the album? How are you going to capture everyone's? And I remember War was so sick, and the way it comes in with the war, I was like, we need one of our songs that's going to be a fade out, and I wanted to be a long fade out with just a really cool drum beat that's just going to slowly fade away. Yeah. And then Joe knew what I was getting at, man. That one's going to fade out when all of a sudden you could just bring in some machine guns and shit, and the war starts happening. And it came out so killer. I remember I got goosebumps when he sent it, when he's put those two together and they cross faded them. I'm like, oh my god, like people are going to freak, you know. You know, and then you know, that song's so heavy. And it's so punishing, and there's not much lyric content, but John's voice is so brutal. I then knew, because I was working on this drum fill thing, there's 4 killer drum fills towards the middle part. And I just remember thinking, man, if we can build this thing all the way up until those drum fills, and then all of a sudden, then it cuts to that clean guitar. Yeah. I'm like, Trevor, imagine just unplugging your Strat, no amplifier, just your guitar, the strings, like hearing it. So we did. We put a microphone fucking this close to his guitar. I was holding it right next to his Strat, and he was just, I said, just strum it. Don't pick too hard. Just kind of go boom, bound, bam. He played it a few times until we got a really nice, clean one. Yeah. And I told him, I said, dude, I got a cool idea, man. And it's going to go from that heavy ass shit to my 4 drum fills that I worked on for weeks. I was so proud of it when I told my brother, I'm like, dude, I got all 4. I know what I want. And then it's going to just go now, just for just one bar, and then back to it. And we did it. We knew right away. We're like, man, this is cool. This is what people are going to be like, what? And sure enough, every friend that came to the studio, you know, whether it's someone from Deicide or somebody coming over, David Austin from Nasty Savage or something, they could be talking middle sentence, blah, blah, blah. What? What was that? And we're like, okay, it worked.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier you guys are on tour right now with Amon Amarth and Carcass and Cattle Decapitation. I think that tour ends next week, and then you're off for a little bit, and then you head over to Europe. Heaven Shall Burn and Trivium. Any plans to do your own headlining tour, or do you guys prefer to do like be in the opening slot?
No, there's an absolute full game plan all the way through 2024. It's already in the makes, like penciling calendars, like it's ridiculous. the amount of time that we're going to be able to have ourselves at home sleeping on our own pillows it's not looking very promising for the families, but they have to realize that it's been 6 years since the last album. We've been sitting on this album for 2 years, and with that pandemic keeping us in handcuffs for almost 2 years, it's time to get really busy. So to answer your question, there is an absolute plan for a US headline tour for us. Awesome. With that said, Obituary since 1992 have always been that band that plays last, and we're always the band that seem to have to headline. And headlining seems like it would be fun, but it sucks. I know. Being on stage at 8:30 at night and only playing for 9-song, 40-minute set is so much better for these old guys nowadays. But long story short, and to answer your question, absolutely headline tour for full European tour and full American headline tour for Obituary for sure.
Awesome. Awesome. Looking forward to that. That would be great. I just had a question, kind of going back into your history. What was there a band or a particular album that got you into death metal and wanting to, play drums?
Yeah, not necessarily got me into death metal because Lord knows Obituary kind of was there at the beginning
Yeah.
when death metal. So there wasn't someone that just said, "Hey, you went from loving only Megadeth and Metallica to bam, now you're going to be a death metal fan." You know, I attribute it all to metal
Yeah.
because when I was a kid in the 70s, I was already really, really, really into drums. I was 7 and 8 years old, and I already knew that I could not only hold down a drum beat. That's what I wanted. I just knew listening to Leonard Skinner albums and Molly Hatchet and just Blackfoot and all this Southern rock that my
Awesome.
oldest brother had. He had a vinyl collection that me and John loved, but it was all Southern rock because it
Yeah.
was the 70s and Led Zeppelin and just killer shit, but it was rock and AC/DC and everything. And then of course, man, Black Sabbath, like on Trevor's part of his neighborhood, my bicycle ride to him was he had the Iron Maiden albums and Black Sabbath and Rainbow, and I was just like so heavy, man. Ronnie James Dio, like
Yeah.
this shit's so heavy. And then my brother started, finding these even heavier stuff, for us. He's like Hellhammer and fucking Venom, Possessed, and
Yeah.
those were vinyl. And so Trevor would ride his bike over and he'd be listening to our Hellhammer and fucking Celtic Frost shit. And I'd be over at his house tripping out on Black Sabbath. And, of course we were there at the beginning of the Florida death metal whole
Yeah.
beginning. So to see Chuck and Death really throwing down at an early age was a big part of realizing what death metal was and what we really wanted to up our ante and really become is really a big part of it. Chuck was a big part, but the stem for us is Tom G. Warrior and Hellhammer and Celtic Frost and of course Venom. I remember
Yeah.
hearing Venom. I just thought this is the coolest band in the world. It's the heaviest shit I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
It's the best. It's like the best, most exciting album I can put the needle down on, and it taps a certain vein when I listen to Venom. So my brother and I can attribute it to those specific bands. Of course, Slayer, of course, Metallica showed us at an early age that we want to do this. We want to fucking shred. We want to fucking be more than just what we were at the time. So there's a
Right.
lot of influences because we were so young, but those were the main ones.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, Donald, I just have a couple more quick questions for you, and
Yeah.
then we'll wrap it up. The first one is pineapple or no pineapple on pizza?
Yeah, no pineapple. That's stupid.
I'm with you, man.
I'll eat my pineapple with my cottage cheese in the morning. I'll
Right.
take a beer with a pizza.
Awesome. And the last one is, do you consider Die Hard to be a Christmas movie?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes, I do. And Bruce Willis is one of my favorite actors and a badass motherfucker.
Yeah.
So yes and yes, and no to the pineapple.
And no to the pineapple. Awesome. Well, Donald, thanks again for taking some time to talk with me. I really appreciate it.
Right on, brother. I can't wait for fans to get out and get their hands on this new album. And then 2023, man, we're coming through America on a headline tour. So I hope everybody keeps their eyes out.
Yeah, hell yeah. Sounds great. All right. Take care, man.
Cool. Right on, brother. See you.
Yep.